Hello, it's 11:03 a.m. We're moving up the hill. I took a break and filmed and uploaded. Okay, so the day I realized so far, the one here and the Sacred Beloved one there, was when I was at my ultra sacred and beloved civil war monument. So far there's tres. I can't remember the French word for three, so far there's three. Let's speak English. If there's a fourth, I'll find it. They're identifiable by, because that's how they're designated, the United States flag, which is what drew me up there. The one down there is not, but that's up for discussion because there's so many service members. It's a question, why not a flag? So on and so forth. Okay, but let's go up the hill here. And so I was just wandering, trying to just breathe and have a nice day, and came up here, saw that and said, and then I saw this. So here, this is a little far away from the human eye. This is about what you see from the distance I'm standing in with your human eye. I saw the flag and obvious World War II, and I come running up here. I couldn't believe it. I was really interested, so I start walking out fast, yeah. But we can slow down. Okay, so zoom in. Okay, I need to be quiet because there is a funeral, I think, happening up there. There's quite a few cars. Yeah, there's a funeral. Okay, so let's just be quiet and try to be really low key, okay? And that means including the cell phone, okay? And not disturb this. But this is a World War memorial, so it's okay if I don't start shouting praise Jesus, okay? And don't start filming all crazy. So I have to keep a lower voice, so let me put the mic to my mouth more. Okay, here is our American flag, identifiable, designated. And I don't want to walk on the stones. This is serious business, folks. What happened here? Okay, whoa. Holy cow. And let's just bow our head. And breathe. Okay, so you can see this is all service, but I don't want to walk on it. It's all service, okay? This Vietnam. And this is clearly a division, or I don't know, a group of RUS. This is serious. Okay, and then there's more, okay? This is all service. Okay, look. And this is designated. This is like the memorial with the Civil War. This is real serious. This is, okay, I know I'm rambling. Here, I'll try to stop. This is huge, okay? So, yes, I will look into this. Stand away. Let's walk away because there is a funeral going on, and I feel kind of out of place. So let's stop filming over here. Let's film this way. Let's walk away. I didn't know there'd be a funeral going on, so I don't think I filmed it, which is what I'm hoping I didn't film. Is not the right action to take, is to film a private funeral of strangers, but I am at a memorial. So what I'm doing is okay. Okay, so let's walk away. Now I can probably raise my voice more. The funeral was going way up the hill, but I mean, they could see me, and this is their private time. Okay, let's respect this funeral. Now let's go back over here to my homies. Civil War. So you see how excited I got, like completely overwhelmed and amazed is how I felt. And you have to please be patient with my word recall. A group of soldiers is the only words I can remember. So that up there is a group of soldiers, okay? And it'll be more clear when I put it online in written, because that's, my brain is just so stressed out. I am embarrassed, but this is the best I can try to say is a group of soldiers. And something happened in World War II there clearly, so we're gonna definitely read about that, and then I don't have to sit here and ramble and feel funny. So here we are. This is, I love it here, you know. This makes me miss Virginia, and this makes me miss all the East Coast. And they forgive me for saying that. And at the same time, God says, you're in the place you were born, Washington State. And this is really significant that there were Washington State natives who were in one of the battles in the Western territory of the Civil War. They had it in territories. There was two, Western, and I can't recall the other one. Please bear with me on the word recall. And they gave their lives in such an intense battle that there was a Medal of Honor given to a human who gave his life in a very amazing way. So to gain a Medal of Honor, I need to bow my head. So this, instead of pining, P-I-N-I-N-G, pining for Virginia, all these places you've been in Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., just name it, Civil War monuments, you need to be really grateful for this. That you got to see this and you get to go here whenever you want. And they came that far away from, we are this close to Alaska. And this group of humans, soldiers, came all the way down to South Carolina, Washington, D.C., these areas. The South, Texas, Kentucky, Louisiana, and ended up in such an intense battle. Maybe, who knows where I didn't read it, what I put up. There's a reason for that, because of stuff I can't talk about. I'm just going to do it later. I figured my heart is in the right place, okay? My focus where I am staying is not on historical research. It is not my priority. So my heart is in the right place when I come here, as long as I acknowledge it, share the moment, pray, put my head down, respect it, It's all that I'm required to do right now. But they came from here, Washington, all the way down to the southern reaches of the United States back in the 1800s. When Abraham Lincoln was still alive before he was assassinated. And they died for the United States to stay a constitution. And they died for, the Civil War was about black people. Okay? To be seen as human beings. They died. They gave their lives for our country to respect the lives of black people. And with the black people that were being killed in basically a genocide in the United States during the Civil War, they were killing other people like me, white people who stood by their side. And then that was before the war broke out. And then they started the war, and then the whole country ended up living or dying to respect the lives of other human beings. So our history, and I can say this politely, has a real problem, critical, grave, disastrous inability, the United States, of the concept that everyone's life is equal, although it's in our Constitution. It just doesn't sink in here. In 2026, it's still crippling our country. Grappling. Okay, so there's my speech, but it's true. In 2026, we still don't understand that everyone's life is equal. Whether you're a man, a woman, black, white, gay, straight, you don't hold residence over other people. And the problem with that is because of capitalism. It is because of capitalism. Capitalism isn't evil. But if you don't have barriers and you don't have reins on that capitalism, it's going to run wild, and here we are again. And with the Civil War, they didn't want to acknowledge the lives of human beings that were black people because of money. They were making money off slaving human beings for cotton to make profit. Okay? And it went up to New Hampshire, where they were making the cotton. So the cotton was being gathered by black human beings. They were slaves. They were making tremendous money off that in the South, taking the cotton up to New Hampshire. This is before the war broke out. And the men who owned these industrial plants in New Hampshire were just as guilty as the slave drivers on the plantations in the South, because they were making the cotton. And what was this for? To have pretty clothes. Cotton wasn't really, it was used for many things, but it wasn't used like cotton is now. There's so many mind-blowing things cotton is used for. There's even oil now that you use in your potato chips. Cottonseed oil, but that's with modern science. Back then, we were fighting over money is what it was for, and the money was being profited by these cotton plants that were making primarily fabric, cotton fabric. It was fighting over money, and it was fighting to the death. One of the worst civil wars in the world's history, and it was in our country. And we were fighting over whether or not black people were people and whether or not we could slave them and kill them. And these people fought on the side of justice, and they are in heaven. And somebody gave their lives valiantly in this battle that they were all in. And this is him. And then he gave his life with this soldier in some group, a platoon, a division, a group of soldiers in a battle, all at one day. So it was one of these battles that is historic. I gotta do the sign of the cross. And you can find that battle. And then they were sent home and buried. So don't be ungrateful that I'm not running around looking at Civil War sites in the East Coast. Be grateful I'm here. This is a really big deal. There's one in Washington State, way up here by Alaska. It's how far it reached, the Civil War. I'm just bow my head. Okay, so, all right. Because of the men and women, there was people who died, civilians, they were killing people. Like the atrocities, it was genocide is what it was. The people who died in the Civil War, this includes Abraham Lincoln, kept our country as one nation. They were fighting for human rights. The Civil War was the first the first war in the United States that had black people fighting alongside the white soldiers. So whatever battle these guys were in, it's possible that they had black soldiers the first time in history fighting with them. This was about human rights and human rights being denied for money. And this has been such a disaster. George Washington never intended that. They demonized and villainized George Washington starting around 2013. It was intentional through the US media, and they have a lot they've got to reckon with. There'll be criminal charges. They're sitting in New York right now in Midtown, Fox, NBC, CBS. They're sitting in Midtown, New York City. They don't understand what they're going to end up reckoning with. So let them sit right there. These media people. And this is reality, people of the United States, okay? It is not your news TV and the profits they're making. All right. So these people in Washington who went all the way to the South and died valiantly for their country and for the rights of human beings to be acknowledged as people too. That's black people. These people are very special in the Civil War. Ever since then, we have had rights for blacks. On paper, it took decades, 100 years, as a matter of fact, for those rights that were on paper that these humans fought and gave their lives for. It took 100 years for those rights, starting around Martin Luther King, to actually be carried out. And you see it today where you just see it. I have trouble recalling words, but it took a long time, okay? This is where it started though, okay? All right, so we have a war monument here. Civil War, it's a really big deal. It's all the way up here in the Northwest territories of the United States. This is so amazing, which I want to come and film again. I probably will, because why not? Then we have the, my little phone. Let's zoom in, please. Here, let me. Then we have this up there, see? Which I got to research and read, at least do something so that people can read it. And then you have the one down there. And like, where else, right? I'm starting to wonder. So I'll check it out. All right, bye.